A gathering in Duluth today is uniting coffee enthusiasts from across our area. The Bienvenue Coffee Fest kicked off this morning at the St. Louis County Depot. Organizers say more than 14 coffee vendors participated in the event. Attendees could take part in coffee tastings, expert presentations, and find out all about the latest trends in all things coffee. In addition to welcoming people into the community, the fest also teaches people things about coffee that may change the way they think about a cup of joe.
The educational component and the inspiration part of it also is in play. So it's pretty easy to go from like having a sip of coffee to learning about why that sip of coffee tastes like it does.
And some of the fan favorite activities included the latte art throwdown and a chance to pet some kittens at the Wired Whisker Cafe area. We're seeing some of those kittens now. Now, Deo Chiarelli is joining me. In addition to knowing all things sports, he's also a cat owner, cat enthusiast.
Noted cat owner.
They are
adorable.
adorable. Look
Honestly.